This is the Linefeed reading list for October 2010. Although I'm actually recording this in November, which just goes to show how busy a month it's been, not just in magazine releases, but in everything else. So if I sound a little flaky, that'd be why. It's just time of year. It's like pre-Christmas madness or something. Oh, Christmas. It's not far off either. I'm not going to think about that. I'm going to get straight into the reviews because there's not as many magazines as usual, but they seem to go on for a while. They quite a bit of filming. Starting with Fire and Knives. This is the fourth issue. Oh, it's on the shelf over there. Should I go get it? No, I'm not going to. I'm just going to wing it. It's just a great magazine. It gets better and better, and this one actually has more illustration in it, which is really nice. And Rob Lowe, aka Super Mundane, who is the designer behind. Oh, that's my favourite article in Defense of Shite Food, just because the illustrations are awesome. Yeah, Mr. Lowe has also done a lot of sort of painted typography in this one as well, and actually got a chance to sort of very quickly speak to him very briefly about it. He was in the middle of a project for Anorak magazine, and was just saying that pretty much he does most of the illustration. If it's uncredited, it's pretty much his work. So it just goes to show you what a sort of wide range of illustrative styles he has on hand. That's still my favourite section too, I can't say it, gastrition, whatever it is. It's like faux restaurant reviews, really good. Stranded is really interesting because I don't think they could ever make another issue. I think it's pretty much a one-off because it's based on, unless of course the Icelandic volcano erupts again, because this is what it is based on. Pretty much, fellow Maglophile Angela Zowski was caught somewhere during the whole Icelandic volcano fiasco, and sent out a call to all sorts of designers and journalists and creative bods around the world who were also trapped to send him content for a magazine if they had nothing better to do, which most of them didn't because they were sort of stuck in hotel rooms and stuff like that. So the product of all that insane burst of creativity amidst all this volcano chaos is Stranded magazine, and it's great. It's got all sorts of crazy articles, and they've included all the letters from people who were like initially sort of yeah this sounds great, I'll do it, and then later on emailed to say, well, actually I've just managed to catch a train or something somewhere. And there are all those sort of letters saying, oh, sorry, can't help, have sort of been included as well, which is cool. There's a zine inside the magazine, which we're looking at now, where someone's created a whole sort of mini magazine for the inside. And there's sort of articles about ash clouds. Back there was a recipe for an ash cloud cocktail, which really took my fancy. Kind of makes me sad that I wasn't so stranded. I was one of the few people that managed to get a Eurostar ticket to get from London to Amsterdam, so I was fine, but so I was disqualified from participating in this. The magazine's produced via MagCloud, which is the print-on-demand service with connections to Hewlett-Packard. So rather than being stocked, in traditional places, you can buy it online. There's also an ad at the back for Stack America. Stack have English, I don't know if it's English/European subscription service, and they now have an American one as well, where you get a surprise magazine every month or so through your letterbox. Worth checking out, and I'll again include a link. This is not so much a magazine, but sort of a regular thing, hopefully, but this is the first one, so I'm really hoping that there's plans for more. Gasbook is like a Japanese publication. Originally, it was called Gasbook because it was everything but a traditional sort of book. Like previous Gasbooks were like sort of record-shaped bags with like fake record sleeves and videotapes and CDs and all sorts of crazy things in them. They reinvented the Gasbook range into a series of sort of hardcover books based on a particular artist's work or creative's work. And that series ran for quite a while. And it disappeared and has re-emerged in this funny little A5 size thing that it looks like there should be lots of them because it's got like room for ring binding. But this first edition of what they're calling Gasbook Pop, or the Gasbook Pop series, features the work of Jonathan Zuwada, who's an Australian creative who really worth checking out. He's got such a wide range of sort of stuff that he does, from fashion zines to one-off fashion pieces to illustration to all sorts of crazy stuff. Oh, and I got a badge because I ordered it through his website, which is quite good. Yeah, we're on to Vogue Paris, who are celebrating their 90th birthday in October. Actually, probably the next issue's already out, I think. So this is old already. But look how thick it is! It's probably one of their biggest issues ever in the world, I think. If this is their 90th, I can't wait to see the 100th issue. It's going to be like a phone book or something. Who says print's dead? Look at the size of this thing. Mainly it's chock full of ads, which is the main criticism people have of these more traditional, older fashion titles. It's just ads. Oh my god, so many ads. And you know, it's good and bad in this special edition. There's a whole wad of celebratory birthday ads. You know, it makes you wonder: is this paid for editorial? I don't know. It's all like people that usually see. There's that wad of pages I was just holding is all these sort of ads saying "Happy Birthday, Paris Vogue" and stuff. It's quite odd. Some of them are really nice, some of them are not so nice. It was the evil glowing eyes of Giorgio Armani, I think it was. It was really scary, that one. Peering at you. I don't think they meant it to look so scary. It's kind of cool because you sort of see which brands get it and which don't. Like Tom Ford, I thought that was kind of cool, but it is pretty much him with a big slab of cake in his face. Marc Jacobs was just this weird sort of dorky cartoon. It's almost like seeing a bunch of, you know, well-known fashion brands get caught out a bit. Like, oh, quickly, we need to do something to say happy birthday and not just do an ad campaign. So it's interesting but kind of weird. The editorial content is more interesting, luckily. What they've done is they've gone through their archive and they've selected a photo and a title from various eras of Paris Vogue's lifespan, and then they've asked modern day photographers to come up with their interpretation of previous fashion editorials. So you get Masked Ball, originally by Balmain, I think it was, becoming this crazy avant-garde thing. This was really cool because they just they picked several interviews with several French women, or women that have influenced French culture or whatever, and literally just reproduced the pages as they originally appeared in the magazine, like there's Marilyn Monroe years and years ago. So you flick through and all of a sudden you're in like some other era. It's really cool. Again, like they start with the name and the original photographer's name and one of the photos, and then they have like this modern interpretation, which quite often is completely different. Like it's just a vague nod, really, to what has gone before. I still, for my money, I think this is Paris Vogue is the proper Vogue. Like you can take your American Vogues and all that sort of stuff. This is the real deal. This was good too, that they acknowledged that you know, all the controversy that's gone on about their fashion shoots where they blacked up Lara Stone and all that sort of stuff. There's a whole article about how they like to be controversial and sort of document it a bit. Okay, we're on to another man, which has been redesigned by Lawrence Brunner and Jeffrey Han. And I wasn't reading that from the masthead at all. Uh, After like several years of being designed by David James and Associates, who designed the its sister title, another magazine. Um, and it's a really radical change. It's quite odd in some ways. Like I bought this to where I'm working for a magazine publisher and sort of passing it around, going, "Oh, it's really odd, isn't it?" Some people really didn't like it. Um, I don't hate it. It's really odd though. Some things just are really odd. I'm pointing out the whole front section was shot by a photographer who actually shot himself and his assistants as the models, which was kind of interesting. It's sort of the opposite of what photographers usually do, apart from Terry Richardson, where they're sort of always behind the camera. He actually got in front and got his mates involved, and uh, I mean they look good. They don't look like models, but they look good. You know, you'd hope so if you're photographing yourself, really. Yeah, there's a really interesting font used throughout the magazine, which I'm guessing is down to Lawrence Brunner's work, who he's only produced a couple of fonts that I know of, but they've like the Accidens is the main one, which has made such a massive impact that you're sort of waiting for the next big typeface from him. And this could be it. It's interesting. It's the only typeface featured throughout. There's not many weights of it. It seems to be the same weight. In many cases, and I think this is probably one of the criticisms, is it actually dominates the photography, which is really odd in a fashion magazine. Like, it's often really hard not to, the photography naturally dominates everything, but it's sort of the opposite in this, which is really odd. And the big sort of thick lines, which is the only sort of other graphic device, I really like. I think it's really quite whimsical and fun. But again, really strong, bold, and really, I think, fights the photography quite a bit. The photography itself too is really odd this time around. Like this is the standout feature by crazy creative couple. I know one of them is called Bert. Or should I look it up? Because if you look them up online, you'll see that this is not a one-off occasion. This fashion shoot, they do a lot of really crazy costume stuff. Oh, Lucy and Bart, they're called. It's not really clothes you can buy. It's really just sort of experiments in transforming the human body. Yeah, towards the back, the photography got a bit more accessible. That's an ad for their sister magazine, which is designed by David James Associates still, and also includes lots of typefaces by Gareth Haig. Oh, that was over quickly. That was really interesting, that magazine. I could have talked about that more, actually. It's just really quite crazily designed, and the photography just really sort of murky and taking a back seat. I'm going to talk about Circus now, though. This is not one for fans of things called bookazines. Yeah, it's kind of a weird title, but it does feel like a book. And actually, I sat down to read this. I really wanted to get stuck into it over breakfast, and only got halfway through because it's like reading a book. It's really solid editorial. And it's funny too because I've been working on some German magazine recently, or working at how to design German magazines, and it's a very different approach. Like text is really quite rigidly set, and it's more photography that becomes witty and whimsical on the page, and text is meant to be as straightforward and um, plainly readable as possible. Circus is bilingual, so it's in German and English, and there's a nod to both sort of design aspects in the magazine. I think it's a really interesting crossover, sort of obviously because I'm getting stuck into a project at the moment that's both German and English. This is a really interesting project for me to look at. Um, the copy, the whole idea of the magazine is everything comes from blogs. So it's the text has all sort of been, I think it's been exclusively written for the magazine, but by various bloggers they've chosen. So that in itself makes for a really interesting reading because it's also voices you wouldn't normally hear. I loved that woolly guy; it was really cool. This is just like different sorts of people wearing the same sorts of clothes, which is kind of cool as well. I kind of like that weedy and muscly and oh dear! I'm sorry, it's late, and I've been putting this off. I'm doing really well, I think. This is the last magazine. I'm getting there. I have picked like a really massive one to finish on though. I would say if you want something to get stuck into and you're not really into books, Circus is perfect. If you're going on holiday, it's probably really good too because you can sort of lie on the beach and have a flick through this. The imagery is really interesting and quirky as well. See, yeah, there's just so much to get stuck into. Like, by the time I got to the back section here, I was just like, oh my god, so much to read. I think possibly if I have a criticism, it's just that maybe more pictures would be nice. It's a lot to get through. Maybe more crazy illustration. But a really interesting publishing company called Hertznote. Hopefully they'll keep producing interesting stuff like this. I'll be looking forward to the next issue of Circus. That was the debut issue, so more to come, and I'm sure it's just going to get better and better. This is actually an old like fairly. It's been around for a while, and I don't even know if they managed to make it to a second issue. I should check what issue number that is. Shall I have a look? It's called Block, and it's a different sort of architecture magazine. Oh, good, it's on the top. It says, oh yeah, that is issue 1, but I haven't seen issue 2, and I think this came out a little while ago. So I'm hoping they haven't sort of given up at 1. But I wanted to show you guys this because it's for an architecture magazine. It looks so different and fresh and interesting. Like, I mean, this issue is called the Modest Issue, so it's kind of does look modest, but I'm guessing it's not going to get much crazier if it does come back. And really interesting articles. It's really hard to talk about architecture magazines actually because in the last decade or so there's been such a massive wide variety of them emerging. Like you've got Pin-Up and you've got Mark, and they're all like it's really odd. You wouldn't have thought architecture magazines could be so diverse, and this is just like yet another sort of weird spin-off of the whole architecture magazine genre, if you like. This time it's sort of more craft-based and a much quieter publication than I think we've ever seen before. I think it's really interesting, and I will be hoping they do a second issue and looking out for it. I'm going to end on It's Nice That because it's the grand finale, really. This is the magazine everyone's been hanging out for. It's not really a magazine, it's a periodical or a journal or something. I like to think it's a journal. It makes it sound quite serious, doesn't it? And it's a really nice blend of the serious and the frivolous. Well, not so much frivolous as whimsical, I think. I think that's the key attraction with anything that It's Nice That produce, whether it's on their blog or in the magazine or part of their projects. And they have actually got a series of talks coming up which look really interesting, which I'll post a link to. But yeah, they sort of have big name people, big serious designers, but then a lot of sort of whimsical, really fun, colourful stuff inside. I really think that's the key to It's Nice That's appeal, is that it's sort of a blend of knowledge and whimsy, which is, and it's a really unique, really well considered blend. Um, this was, I really liked this too. I think it was, is it Jez Burrows, who's a big contributor to It's Nice That. I'm going over to grab it off the shelf again. Talking about Gokko printing. I actually have a Gokko machine. I make Gokko cards every year. I really love using it. It's a real cult of Gokko, and that magazine, that article completely evangelizes them. So I was like, yay, Gokko is awesome. Yeah, I mean, that was really exciting for me. I mean, there's some awesome names that they've interviewed in here as well. There's Miranda July, who I found people either love or hate. I really love her. I think her work is awesome, and it's got some of her sort of impromptu sculptures in there. They've got Bombas and Pa, the guys that do all the crazy jelly. They don't just do like crazy jelly things, but they do like almost foodie installations. Like they'll do like an entrance to something where they fill the room with like breathable this sort of alcohol or something. It's really quite crazy stuff. Waffle chair actually was my least favourite thing in there. Did you see the waffle chair? Possibly the most dangerous piece of furniture I've ever seen. I really wouldn't want my ass to end up like a waffle. Yeah, couldn't see the genius in that one, sorry. But yeah, oh, here's Miranda July's article. There's also in here, oh yeah, Neville Brody, Sarah DeBont, and Noma Bar. Adrian Shaughnessy is at the back talking about his record collection. And actually, if you want to find out more about the It's Nice That guys, listen to Graphic Design on the Radio presented by Adrian Shaughnessy, because there's an interview with them on there, which I should include a link to as well. And that's it. I did really well. I think you should say, well done, you, because I'm actually a bit tired. And November, I've got to do Novembers as well. I love doing these things, but it's never any time. I go now, bye!